Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, have you ever looked at some of the highest earning people you know and thought, why are you so stressed and exhausted? It just doesn't make sense, right? Well, today we're unpacking a really fascinating narrative called the salary trap, escaping the golden handcuffs. We're taking a deep dive into how conventional success can sometimes build a psychological cage, and honestly, more importantly, how you can break out of it.
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly does a comfortable paycheck become the biggest prison? It's kind of a paradox, isn't it? I mean, society constantly teaches us that a high income equals ultimate freedom. To understand how the exact opposite can actually happen in reality, we're going to follow the story of our protagonist. Let's call him Ethan Carter, a young, ambitious professional.
Section 1. The Dream Job Illusion. So, picture this. Ethan finally gets his massive break. After years of studying, those brutal late-night certifications, and just constant rejections, he lands a senior business analyst role, and it's a big one. He's starting at a $120,000 annual salary, working in this gleaming skyscraper office overlooking the whole city. He's got the free coffee, ultra-modern meeting rooms, luxury chairs, a rooftop cafe, even a company gym, the whole shebang. Everyone around him, his parents, his girlfriend, his friends, they're all telling him the exact same thing: you've made it. And walking in on that magical first day, his manager welcomes him to the family. Ethan completely believes he's reached the absolute peak of success.
Well, the first 6 months fly by. Ethan works harder than anyone, skips holidays, misses birthdays, you know the drill. His reward? A glowing review and a massive 15% salary increase. But instead of saving that extra cash, a quiet psychological shift happens. And this brilliantly illustrates lifestyle inflation. In step 1, he's living modestly in a small apartment. But with the new raise, he instantly upgrades to a luxury condo. Soon, that condo just isn't enough, so he buys a house. By step 4, his perfectly fine used car gets traded in for a brand new German SUV. Add in some designer watches, private school savings, those expensive weekend trips, and suddenly, without even really noticing, his monthly expenses have entirely doubled.
Section 2. Wearing golden handcuffs.
As 5 years pass, Ethan's salary climbs to an incredibly impressive $220,000 a year, but the trap is rapidly closing in. There's this stark contrast between Ethan and his childhood friend Daniel. Ethan is pulling in high six figures, driving that luxury SUV, but he is completely stressed out and feels totally trapped. His phone is ringing at midnight, his weekends have basically vanished, and vacations, yeah, they're just remote work with a better view. Daniel, on the other hand, makes a modest income and drives an old Toyota, but his state of mind is incredibly peaceful and free. When Ethan arrogantly asks Daniel when he's finally going to upgrade his life, Daniel just smiles and says, "When I own my life."
Now, Ethan didn't really get Daniel at first, but reality eventually crushes him. The salary wasn't freedom at all. It was golden handcuffs. Every single morning, Ethan wakes up actively hating his job. The impossible deadlines, the endless emails, but it hits him. He literally cannot afford to quit. Every single dollar of his huge salary is already spoken for by crushing obligations. We're talking a massive mortgage, luxury car loans, credit card payments, insurance. The money doesn't serve him anymore. He has become a servant to the money. Then, on a random Friday afternoon, the unthinkable happens. HR suddenly announces massive layoffs. Hundreds of people lose their jobs, and the rumors spread like wildfire. Ethan's confidence completely vanishes overnight. He goes to check his savings account, and staring back at him is this terrifying number: 3. Despite earning well over $1 million across several years of high-income work, his emergency fund could only cover 3 months of his inflated living expenses. Just 3 months! That is exactly how close he is to total financial collapse.
Section 3. The Financial Awakening.
This sheer panic leads Ethan to a quiet night at the office that flips his entire worldview completely upside down. He's working alone until midnight, and he bumps into the elderly office janitor, Mr. Thompson. The janitor notices how absolutely exhausted Ethan looks. After Ethan insists he has no choice but to work this hard, the janitor asks him a simple, but man, such a profound question. If I gave you $10 million today, would you come to work tomorrow? Ethan immediately answers no. No way. Mr. Thompson points out that Ethan's job clearly isn't his passion, it's his dependence. The problem wasn't his salary, the problem was the fact that he was entirely dependent on it.
So, the crucial point is that late-night encounter sparks an absolute obsession. Ethan starts just devouring books on wealth, which leads to a massive mindset shift. He realizes, actually, scratch that, he fully accepts that he'd spent his entire career confusing a high salary with actual wealth. Income makes you rich temporarily, and it requires your time. It completely stops the second your employment ends. But assets make you rich permanently and require systems.
Let's clearly define what that actually means. An asset is an investment. Think real estate, businesses, royalties, or dividend stocks that earns money even while its owner sleeps. Ethan realizes his paycheck demands endless hours of his life, but assets rely on self-sustaining systems. He decides right then and there to stop chasing a higher salary and start furiously acquiring assets.
Section 4. Building the escape lane.
Armed with this new financial literacy, Ethan takes radical, inspiring action. He commits to the absolute hardest year of his life, making massive sacrifices to buy back his freedom. He sold that expensive German SUV, canceled his luxury memberships and subscriptions, and moved out of the big house into a much smaller home. And most importantly, he invested every single extra dollar, every raise, and every bonus. While his coworkers whispered and wondered if he was secretly having money problems, Ethan totally ignored them, and he ignored all the flashy social media trends too. He was living way below his means to funnel his massive salary into income-producing assets.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because through absolute consistency and discipline, the magic really starts to happen. 7 years after starting his high-paying job, his passive income from investments covers 50% of his living expenses. By year 8, it's 70%. Year 9, 90%. And finally, by year 10, his passive income officially surpasses his monthly expenses. The fear of layoffs? Completely gone. For the very first time in his professional life, his salary has become completely optional.
Section 5. The true meaning of wealth.
This incredible milestone brings us right to the climax of Ethan's journey. A few months after hitting financial independence, a manager approaches Ethan with yet another impossible deadline, shouting, threatening, and demanding he work through the weekend. Now, years earlier, Ethan would have completely caved, but this time, he has the financial power to walk away. He simply smiles at his manager and delivers this brilliant line. "I appreciate everything I've learned here, but today is my last day." He leaves his manager in absolute shock, casually resigning to finally go live, having successfully traded the illusion of certainty for the reality of freedom. But here's the thing. Ethan doesn't just retire to sit on a couch and do nothing. That's not the point. Instead, he builds a small consulting company. He creates online courses and writes. He mentors others. He still works. And honestly, some months he even earns more than before. But the key difference? He wakes up with no alarm clock and he chooses his work every single morning. He has no mandatory meetings, absolutely no fear of layoffs, and zero golden handcuffs.
Years later, Ethan reunites with his friend Daniel on a park bench watching the sunset. And Daniel sums up the entire epilogue perfectly with this quote: "The goal was never to earn more. The goal was to need less." Real wealth is not measured by the size of your paycheck, guys. True success is owning your time, having choices, and measuring how long you can live without needing someone else's permission.
Which brings us to a final, provocative thought for you to consider today. Is your lifestyle growing faster than your freedom? The salary trap doesn't actually begin with your first paycheck. It begins the exact moment your expenses outpace your independence. So take a hard look at your own numbers, your own systems, and ask yourself, are you building true wealth, or are you just upgrading the metal on your handcuffs? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope it helps you build